Ladies and gentlemen, what you are seeing here is a tweet from Natasha Cloud. Now, I'm sure most of you guys are wondering, who in the hell is Natasha Cloud? Tosh is a full-time political activist, a part-time pretend basketball player in the WNBA dump, and as you can see, she spends her free time, her off-season, unleashing toxic clouds of boodle breeze on social media. Tosh is once again complaining because, well, that's what WNBA players do best. They complain. She's complaining about a Republican congressman who appears to be trying to make healthy freeloaders and 30-year-old woke welfare collectors understand that there's just nothing the government can give you. There's that word again. Give. You see, normal people don't expect handouts. Normal people don't drop out of high school and run directly to the welfare office and say, "I'm here to pick up my paycheck." Normal people don't want lifelong government subsidies. Matter of fact, most normal people want the government to get the hell out of their lives. And normal people are damn sure tired of paying for other people not to work. If you don't believe me, go ask people that are getting the hell out of New York City right now, or the people fleeing the People's Republic of California. This tweet from Natasha Cloud, it gives you a glimpse into the mindset of the average minimum wage earner in the WNBA. It gives you a glimpse into the entitlement that is destroying this dump of a league. WNBA players believe that they are entitled to million-dollar salaries. They believe they're entitled to be compensated in dollars instead of monopoly money. Of course, normal people understand why WNBA players are being paid in monopoly money. I mean, the basketball is make-believe, so the money should be too. WNBA players believe their commissioner, the lovely diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert. They believe Kat should be fired because she finally shared a word with them that WNBA players don't understand. It's a word that WNBA players are not used to hearing. It's a word that causes visceral reactions in those infected with entitlement. And it's a word that is universally understood no matter what language you are speaking. Kat Engelbert finally found the courage to tell WNBA players, no. Will you give us million-dollar contracts? No. Do you think we are stars? No. Do you think we provide financial value? Hell no. But that's okay. You see, WNBA players thought they had leverage. Keyword, thought. They thought they could use Unrivaled, which is a secondary dump that presents the worst basketball imaginable in a 3-on-3 format. They thought they could use Unrivaled to apply pressure to the WNBA, forcing Kat Engelbert to give in to their unreasonable demands. But in order for Unrivaled to be effective, in order for Unrivaled to be serious leverage, they needed the services of the icon of icons in women's basketball. They needed a hero. I can be your hero, baby. They needed the support of the Great White Hope. Uncle KC, are you talking about Paige Beckers? She is a huge star. No. Not talking about Paige Beckers. I'm talking about Caitlin Clark. For the second year in a row, Unrivaled was willing to break the bank for the Rue from Waterloo. For the second year in a row, Nafisha Collier, Bree Stu, the co-owners of Unrivaled, they begged, they pleaded with Caitlin Clark to save their dying league. And for the second year in a row, Caitlin Clark provided an answer that WNBA players are getting more used to hearing. Caitlin Clark said no. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Later today on the second channel, going to be talking about Daddy Deion's baby boy again. Shedeur Sanders is once again in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Anytime a third-string quarterback is making news, it's for the wrong reason. I'm starting to wonder if Deion's baby boy is intentionally sabotaging himself to get the hell out of Cleveland. I'll explain why, so click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Headline last night at Front Office Sports: Caitlin Clark will not join second season of Unrivaled. Let me go ahead and translate that for you. The headline should read, Unrivaled preparing for their second and potentially final season of huge embarrassing failure. During their inaugural season earlier this year, which ran from January to March, Unrivaled only averaged 221,000 viewers. This failure was surprising to most in the mainstream media because Unrivaled, to their credit, was featuring some heavy hitters. Listen to some of these stars: Shakira, Hips Don't Lie, Austin; Cam, I've Got No Money and My Brinks; Aaliyah, I Can't Afford to Live in Boston. Who, and who? No wonder America wasn't watching this league. The biggest stars in Unrivaled were Bob Griner, whose blunt rolling skills are kind of tough to make into compelling television, and Angel Reese, along with her dozens of aliases. Angel Reese is struggling to draw in the WNBA, so it's not surprising that no one was watching her miss layups in Unrivaled, where the goal is at eye level. This is the reason, both this year and last year, that Unrivaled was willing to take out loans to lure Caitlin Clark. They offered Rue an unprecedented 7-figure contract, and they were willing to pay in American dollars. This wasn't pesos with the face of Hakeem Jeffries and his sombrero. This wasn't Ethiopian breadcrumbs. Unrivaled was willing to give Caitlin Clark currency that featured the face of our founding fathers. They were also willing to give Caitlin Clark equity in the league along with revenue sharing, which sounds nice on the surface until you realize that Unrivaled has no equity and there's no revenue to share. Basically, they were willing to make Caitlin Clark an owner in this turd because they knew the only way Unrivaled would provide leverage in negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement is if people were actually watching. And the only way to get people to watch is if Caitlin Clark is involved. Now, to her credit, Caitlin Clark has always been a team player. Publicly, she's all about girl power. But when it comes to her actions matching her words, Caitlin Clark said no. Why? Well, the official reason is Caitlin Clark is going to spend the offseason recovering from injuries, and she is committed to USA basketball and needs to prepare for that. But Uncle KC ain't buying it. Now, this is pure speculation on my part. I think Caitlin Clark, she was influenced, maybe even pressured to turn down Unrivaled. Think about it. Who owns a majority stake in the WNBA? The NBA. NBA owners have invested hundreds of millions of dollars into this unmonetizable turd. For 30 years, they have never seen a return on that investment. Remember around this time last year, we talked about NBA owners putting pressure on Adam Silver to find a way to monetize pretend basketball? Remember how the New York Post was reporting that NBA owners were running out of patience with the WNBA? This year, for the first time ever, the WNBA is supposedly going to generate profit. Now, I don't know how much, but even if they generate a Buffalo nickel, which was the currency used by the Guardians back when they were called the Indians, if the only profit generated was a Buffalo nickel, It's 5 cents more than they've generated in the last 30 years. With that being the case, do you really think NBA owners were going to risk Caitlin Clark joining Unrivaled? Do you really think they were going to risk losing all this momentum in the WNBA so Caitlin Clark could take that momentum and her drawing power to a rival league? Make no mistake about it, this is a massive loss for WNBA players. They might not be willing to admit it yet. They might put on a strong front publicly, but this is a massive loss of leverage. Well, Casey, that's not true. Unrivaled is still paying 6 figures to unknown players. They'll still be making more money than they make in the WNBA dump. Yeah, for now. You got to remember, most of the revenue in Unrivaled, it's coming from their TV contracts. Sure, they've got corporate sponsors. They've got athletes who have invested in the league, but the vast majority of the revenue, it is coming from TNT. In order for TNT to remain a valued partner, Unrivaled has to start drawing ratings. How are they going to do that without Caitlin Clark? If TNT pulls out of the deal, not only are they losing most of their money, more importantly, they're losing their TV contract. If that happens, where can they go? Can't go to ESPN or ABC. They're partnered with the WNBA. Can't go to CBS, can't go to ION, can't go to NBC. And each of those networks, they own the vast majority of the other networks on cable. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. A lot of leverage just went back to the WNBA. Deadline is October 31st. They've got 4 weeks to get a deal done. They've got 4 weeks to get a deal done with a commissioner that they've spent the entire week publicly humiliating. I don't know about you guys, but I don't see it happening. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.